Hi everyone, welcome to round 5 from the Doncaster Open. So only on 1 out of 4 so far, not good. So after that swindle I had a chance to put it out of my system by winning this game versus Dave Patrick, who is a very active Yorkshire player who has a long play of 168 and an ELO of over 1900, but his rapid is only 151. I'd actually beaten him a couple of years ago and it was like my first good win. He was like 160 plus. It was my best win for over a year. I had black then as well, but I was hoping to beat him with white this time. I played e4, he played e6, which means at least there will be a French game for this Doncaster series. d4, d5, d2, the Tarrasch variation, Ne2 right down the line, which I play as black, thank you very much. Got the main line. Cal Potter played castles against me, if you recall. The other serious game I've had against 3 Ne2 Tarrasch. Well, I've had another one since, but I played something sort of different then in it. Dave's move stays in the lines which I play as black. Now I played bishop g5. Remember, the point to get the bishop to g3 is because white wants to dark square bishops off for 2 reasons. Because white has a superior light squared bishop, and it also reduces black's grip on e5. Castles, bishop h4, and now e5. Here is a deviation. This move is interesting and very sharp. Black destroys white's e5 outpost and opens up the bad bishop at the cost of removing white's isolated pawn and giving himself one. Black therefore will have to use his dynamic trump cards or he will lose. Knight h5 is the main move. After queen c2, h6, bishop g6, black clashes out with rook takes f3, thematic sacrifice. Black can either accept the sack, but it is risky. Sorry, white can either accept the sack or it is risky, or if you just take the knight and he has chances of a small edge. Of course I got the Brandon move, bishop d7, just aiming to recycle the bishop to h5 via e8, but it can either trade it off for one of white's pieces or keep it on the board since it will then be a bad bishop. Or per Dutch style. But he played e5 to take it. Take these off because the more pieces come off the better it will be for white. Bishop g3 and queen d6. This was played quick but it doesn't seem to have been played before. The book move is bishop g4. So knight c3, bishop g4. Black has good compensation for the structural damage of his usually bad bishop very active and now gaining the tempo on the white queen. Queen b3. Bishop takes c5 is maybe better, and then queen b3. Because in the game I was given structural damage as well. Not good. He took, h takes g3, king h8, prophylaxis, getting out of the pin. I didn't dare take on b7 this game, as the Russians say the b7 and b2 pawn is usually poisoned. Okay, c1, a6. White should be looking to get a knight to d4 to swap pieces off due to black having the isolated pawn. f1, b5, b2. Not a great move. The bishop is at a good spot on d3, eyeballing the black king, so why move it? Should have played knight e2. The knight is the best blockade of an isolated pawn, so black should maybe give his bishop up to stop it. And if rook takes c2, I actually lose to knight g4. And there was too many threats on white's king because queen a6 is coming, which hits the rook and h2. So white is lost. So I have to take the bishop. And this is an interesting position. White has a bishop in an open position, but this pawn could be quite dangerous now, this passed pawn. I played this and he played bishop e6, queen c2. There is no need for this move, I was jumping at the shadows, but confidence was a bit low after the bad start. Bishop f3. I failed to realise that the d pawn is actually pinned, not good. He played rook a8, but d4 is sure the best move. When you have an isolated, you should aim to advance it, and you can also either get rid of it or use it as a battering ram. Knight e4, that takes queen takes bishop f5. d3 is coming and now it is a deadly passer and black has a clear advantage. Okay, c8, queen d3. I realised my mistake and pinned the pawn, so with d4 I don't have to move the knight and can play bishop f3. My opponent over the next few moves decides to go after b2, which is now unprotected. So he could have played queen b4, which seems better because in the game it recycles his bishop. b3, d4, knight e4, bishop f5, and again the d pawn is causing white problems. Bishop d7, I don't understand this move. Bishop f3 finally, bishop c6, knight e2. Interestingly enough, on the Tuesday leading up to the game, I had watched a video of a game in the 3C5 Tarash where Black accepts an IQP, and I saw Karpov ruthlessly kill Black's counterplay before ramping up, and I tried to emulate him now. Queen b4. The queen probes my queen side. Black's king looks very safe at the moment, so this is justified. Knight d4, getting the tempo. Bishop d7, and now b3. Weaken some squares, but I didn't want to see the C line so easily. So we played queen a3. I thought sidelining this queen like this just to go after the pawns must be bad, but I lost the game very recently due to queen a3 against me in a line like this. Queen d2, h6. He was worried about my queen going to g5, I guess. He had spent a lot of time in the last few moves, and now I was about 10 minutes up in the rapid game, and I felt like I was better in this position, so I spent a few minutes trying to work out how to hack d5 off the board. So I played rook takes c8. Knight e2, I considered this aiming for f4 to probe d5 and aim for g6, which h6 weakened. I may be sacrificing the queen side for an all-out sat on the black king. After I say rook takes. Rook e8, knight f4, and white has a good game. Rook takes c8, knight e2, bishop f5. A good move covering the now weakened light squares around the white king. Sorry, around the black king now. I didn't think there was much point of going to f4 now, but should have done. I mean, I was worried about the rook invasion to c2, but it is harmless after rook c2, queen e3, rook takes a2. There is now a beautiful shot with knight takes d5. This is an example of white sacrificing the queen side for an all-out assault, because knight takes d5 loses to a forced checkmate. It's actually forced mate, this 7. If rook a1, then to try and get rid of this dangerous rook, we play knight takes f6. Rook takes, queen takes, and she takes f6. This is not too hot either, with all this weakness around black's king. So knight g8 is best. And then we play queen e8, rook a1, takes, king h2, king h7, and queen e3. White has dangerous attacking chances, but black can create counterplay with his queenside pawn majority, so white needs to keep the queens on. Knight c3. Now he could have played queen b4, to rook c1, d4, knight b1, embarrassing knight retreat, takes, king h7, and the IQP is a strength once again. But the thing is, now it stays on b4, and now it's finally taken. Get it in. Now the pawn leaves the board, and in fact black's position collapses like a pack of cards. I blundered with rook c2. A catastrophic blunder which loses on the spot to 2 moves actually. The weakness of black's back rank and the hanging bishop on f5, which gets skewered to the knight, and the fact that the f5 bishop dropping also drops the c2 rook in one line means that black's position is lost. Rook d8 is no good, just knight takes f6 because the queen is immune due to mate. Knight g8 isn't as good as in the previous example because white wins the second pawn and still keeps the initiative with knight takes b4. Well, knight b6 is actually even stronger, but so knight takes b4, play this. The best chance is to take the knight, but bishop takes d5. So rook to c1 can't be played. Queen a5, rook e5, g6, queen e2. Why is the pawn up for nothing? But the game finishes very quickly. So again, I had this knight takes f6 tactic, which I didn't play, I missed it. And the only move that doesn't get mated in 3 moves is rook c8, but black has clearly finished the piece behind. But this is just an even simpler, queen f4. And now there's nothing they can do. If knight takes d5, we got check, and we don't even bother taking the rook, we just mate him instead. Nothing works. He played bishop d3 and then took an f6 and he resigned. And out of nowhere, black's king is defended upon all white's pieces, and so he throws in the towel. Mind you, he didn't look at half as annoyed as when I beat him at long play. A very instructive game with this interesting line of the Tarash, where black dynamically accepts an isolated queen's pawn in return for active pieces. Both sides handled it poorly in general. I gave him several chances to play d4, but he didn't take them, and eventually I won it with the help of a blunder. However, a decent win nonetheless. He wins a lot of majors, and he's competitive in opens. I think I need to do some work on IQPs more, maybe, to become a stronger player, but please leave in the comments some thoughts. Thanks very much.